Tommy Shepherd.
70 years ago in the Holy Land, 750,000 Palestinians were uprooted from their homes and chased from their own towns and villages during the creation of the State of Israel. Many of those people and their descendants live today in the Gaza Strip. And from the Mediterranean shoreline, they can see the hilltops of the villages that they once called home. They have been made refugees in their own land, and they have been offered no right of return and no compensation. And as Philippa has described, over the decades that ensued, the occupying authorities in the Gaza Strip have turned it into effectively an open-air prison. The social infrastructure is in crisis. People are at breaking point. And in their desperation, on the 14th of May this year, they walked to the fence of the prison that contained them in order to make a protest, in order to ask the world for help, in order to draw attention to their plight. And they were shot dead by the Israeli Defense Forces. Now, I don't question the right of the State of Israel to exist, but no democratic state should behave like that and shoot unarmed protesters making a peaceful protest. And I find it deplorable that the United Kingdom government and the Foreign Office have so far equivocated on this matter, trying to pussyfoot around under pressure from the new administration in the United States. Foreign Minister Burt said that condemn was an easy word to use. Well, clearly not for him, because he has not yet condemned the actions of the Israeli government and the slaughter of innocents that has taken place over these weeks. And that is shocking. The Israeli government's narrative is that they were facing invasion from terrorists. And yet, all of the evidence does not suggest this. As Philippa has said, people were shot hundreds of meters from the fence. There is no video or photographic evidence of the protesters being armed. They shot children. They shot medics attending the wounded. The Israeli government needs to understand that if it does not change its policies and its attitude, then it is driving people already in great despair, and at the edge, it is driving them into the hands of terrorists. And that is not good for the security of Israel. And that is something that is now understood increasingly by many people inside Israel itself who oppose the Netanyahu government. Now, I think, my friends, we need to be unequivocal in our condemnation of what has happened. And we need to call again for renewed efforts to make the peace process work. There are three things in particular I think we need to do. The first is to insist that the British government implement the United Nations Resolution 2334, which was passed at the end of 2016, which said we have to make a distinction between the legitimate state of Israel and those Palestinian lands which they have illegally occupied now for 70 years. That is something that we need to do, and we need to be very clear that we should not facilitate trade with the illegal settlements, and we should not support the economy in those areas. And the British government needs to step up to the plate on this. The second thing we need to do is to call for an independent inquiry into what has taken place over these past few weeks on the Gazan border. The United Nations Human Rights Commission has made just such a call and is trying to get the inquiry off the ground, but it is not as yet got the support of the Foreign and Commonwealth Office of the United Kingdom, which is, to my mind, quite shocking. And finally, conference, and I shall end with this, we need to be aware that last year the United Kingdom exported more than £400 million of armaments to Israel, including small arms and ammunition. And I say we need to know whether or not those guns and those bullets ended up in the backs of Palestinian children. And until we do know that, until we investigate that, and are confident that we are not exporting arms to a foreign government which is using them in a way which is contrary to international law and common decency, then we should suspend arms sales to the State of Israel.